guys. Lucky enough to have James Casey here today to come in and talk about his new Sonova/Casey Revolution boards that he's developed over the last year or so in conjunction with Bert and the team and Marcus. These boards, you might have seen, have recently come away with the Australian title down at Phillip Island and are working really well. And we're lucky enough to have James to come and talk a bit more about them, explain why, the hows, and what it's all about. Thanks, James.
Thanks for having me, Sammy. Good to be here at WSS Boards, new location. And yeah, really excited to, launch these new boards, the Casey Revolution. I've been working on with Bert for a long time now. The first time I went over to Thailand, I borrowed Bert's 9.2 longboard that he just normally surf and grabbed it with my paddle and got a couple waves on that. And obviously it's a little bit small, but it wasn't too far off the mark, and it's sort of a light bulb moment. Why don't we make a longboard SUP that is more like a longboard than a SUP? And that was the start of it all, and we had a few different versions of it. We tried the Sonova Big Boy, which is just their 10-foot log sort of version. I persevered with that one for a little while and decided we needed a little bit more rocker to make it more versatile. Then I had another one, a blue one that I used at the New South Wales state titles, and that one had a lot of rock and was a bit narrower. It was just not that user friendly. It needed a bit more wave, so we decided, okay, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it a little bit less rocker, so it's user friendly, so it works in the little stuff as well as the big stuff. And this is the third version basically, and I couldn't fault it. I've used it in waves, overhead to dribble, ankle high waves, and it's worked in every condition. I guess the features that make this board work so well, I believe, is the super thin rails. So you can see, compared to a normal stand-up, this rail is more like a longboard rather than a stand-up. So my whole hand is over that. I can carry it under my arm. All the way through the tail, it gets super thin in the tail and quite a hard edge back here too. So it really grabs and turns when you want it to. And then coming forward, it gets softer and softer the further forward we get. So if you are on the nose and it's not that good a place to be nose riding, it's just going to slide. It's not going to hold or bite. Just going to sort of wash through that section, and it's really forgiving for a nose ride too. Not necessarily built for just nose riding. What I wanted to do was be able to turn like you would a normal 9-foot longboard or a surf SUP. But yeah, the idea was to do everything, and I'm really stoked with how it's come out. Surfing little waves with Bridgie the other day, and it's literally wind chop, and he's catching waves all the way through to the beach in the middle of the rip. Basically downwinding, just too much downwinding on enough surfing. But it's really cool to see, he was doing that, then I was sort of tighter in the pocket and doing hits off the lip, and it's, I'm stoked that it can do both. I didn't want a board that would only just work, for good conditions or just work for subpar conditions. It's kind of worked in everything. So we've got a few different widths. My one's 25.5, and that's at 100 litres. The next one up is 10 foot by 26.5, and that's at about 117 litres. The next one's 10 by 28, and that's about 130 litres. And we got 10 by 30 and a half. And this one here, Bridgie's board, and this one's about 140 litres. One thing we were just discussing now with Sammy was that for 100 litres, this board doesn't float like your regular 100 litre stand-up. And that's because, we were talking about earlier, the really thin rails means you can only stand, shoulder width, surf stance apart. You're not standing on a lot of foam, and so you will actually sink a little bit. The tail being super pulled in and super thin means that's not providing much float either. So I normally ride about 80 litres, and this is 100 litres, and that feels super comfortable to me. So we'll chat, 15 to 20 litres with what you normally do. You go a little bit bigger. You ride a longboard because you want the glide, you want the volume. It's all you want it to be your friend. 100 litres for me would normally be quite a big board. If I was to ride a Flash in 100 litres, I probably wouldn't enjoy it that much. But this Revolution in 100 litres is spot on for me. I couldn't fault it. So yeah, have a think about that when you look at the range. Maybe plus or minus plus or minus 10 to 15 litres on where you would normally ride. That's just because of the fineness in the rail. The other thing I guess that we can talk about is it is a roll deck, and that's just to get the rails as knife-like as we possibly can. It's also got quite a, I guess like a little hip. That really means we can keep the like sort of parallel outline that paddles really nicely, and glides nicely. But when we're standing back on the tail, this section here really surfs. It actually looks a bit like, if you just looked at the tail, it kind of doesn't look too dissimilar from my Flash, and it turns that way too. It really turns on a nice, like just turns on a dime, get it up nice and vertical. What's going on the bottom? Basically, not that much. We try to keep this board super simple, clean outline, nice rounded pin, coming through to like a sort of fuller nose. But yeah, it's not a lot going on. Maybe a little bit of concave up through the front, but then pretty well flat through the tail. Planes well through the dead sections, and you can see that sort of softer edge right at the top. The other thing that I guess probably what I love about it so much is the Balsa, the Triple X. It really, that flex that everyone talks about, with this board being finer and longer, the flex works even better. I've always said to Bert that the best boards he makes are his longboards, and this is basically a longboard that we can stand up paddle. So the flex that we can get out of the board is second to none. They've got the technology perfect for this one, so it's the Balsa Triple X. Works super well. Comes with just a standard thruster setup. You can order a single fin box if that's what you're after, but I found for the moment turning and all that sort of stuff off the tail, I wouldn't change anything basically. This setup is awesome. Comes with a 105 sides and 95 rear and 94 rear, and yeah, wouldn't change anything about it. Loving it. Actually really excited to try some of the bigger ones. I've had a go at Bridgies and it was fun, but maybe the 26.5 will be fun too. But yeah, thanks for having me, Sammy, and looking forward to seeing a few more of these around.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Jimmy.